Hey, is this thing on? Are we recording? Can I get a tech person? Oh, for the love of ed tech. Joining us today is Josh Sneideman, who is Vice President of Learning Blade, as well as an Albert Einstein Distinguished Fellow and author. So, Josh, thanks for talking to us today.
Thanks, Kara. Thanks, Matt. I'm excited to chat with you.
Yeah, so we always kick off our podcast by having our guests tell us a little bit about what led them into education, how they decided to become a teacher, and then ultimately for you, what led you to Learning Blade.
Okay, love that. So my mom was a principal. My dad was a theater director. My grandfather was a math teacher. My uncle was a history teacher. Always wanted to be a teacher since the day I grew up. I taught swimming lessons when I was 15, 16, and still think that's the best job ever because you know when you've transferred the skill that they'll never lose it for the rest of their life. And so I love that. But I got a degree in geology, love rocks, love geology, but always knew I wanted to teach. But I was too immature to go into the classroom in my early 20s. I just could not put myself in front of kids. When I was about 29, I started teaching. I did a career switch. And then my first year teaching, I cried a lot. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I got through it using mantras, right? Like I would before I opened the school door, I said, kids got issues, so let's accept that and not get frustrated by this crazy experience. And then I really had a dream to teach overseas, so I taught in Trinidad and Tobago. Was my first overseas position, and then I taught in Costa Rica for 3 years, met my wife, had my first child there, and then taught in California. And so always a middle school science teacher. So love science, geek, science nerd. We could science out any time together. And then what led me to Learning Blade was when I was in California, I was nominated to be an Albert Einstein Distinguished Education Fellow, which is an incredible program if people are looking for a chance to grow in STEM education. Did that for 2 years, and I led the Department of Energy's Renewable Energy Education Literacy Program to try and get schools to really get kids to understand energy and renewable energy. And during that time, I met the founders of Learning Blade and happened to be giving a speech to preschool teachers on why preschool students are the best STEM cohort on the planet because of their curiosity. And when I was down in Chattanooga and met the founders, I'm like, I want to move to Chattanooga, and it worked out. And so that was the first year Learning Blade was really launched in one state. We now have we've had 19 statewide contracts, and one of them is Ohio, where Learning Blade is a free resource to all students in the state and schools.
Very cool.
And teachers.
Yeah. It's a great journey there. And I want to just, before we dive into Learning Blade specifically, just kind of touch again on the Albert Einstein, the Distinguished Fellow honor that you have, and just a little bit more about what that is and how that worked.
Yeah, it's a very cool program. It started under Bill Clinton, I think, in '92. The idea was that federal agencies do a lot of education programming. They offer resources and education toolkits, and NOAA and NASA are all clearly doing a lot in education. And they said, well, why don't we bring, expert educators to DC to learn from them, but also to guide some of the work that's happening. So like a true collaboration with classroom educators on a 1-year fellowship. And so they place fellows in Congress. They place fellows in the Library of Congress, in NASA, in NOAA, in Department of Energy, at the National Science Foundation. So it's been going for 32 years now, 33 years. It's about 10 or 15 teachers a year get placed in federal agencies to lend their support, their expertise, and to grow and bring that stuff back to their communities as well. So I absolutely love it. I think the Albert Einstein Fellowship was the best PD experience of my life, and I highly encourage others to go and apply for it.
Yeah, I love that. That's there's so many things I feel like that get to teachers, that the resources and so forth get there from people who either haven't taught for a long time or never did. And and teachers don't get an opportunity to go out and really share with the outside world, we'll call it, from school, what it's like, and that connection between those two is awesome. So I'm really super happy to hear that that's out there still.
Yeah, and Ohio's got some of the greatest STEM teachers on the planet, so check out this opportunity. But that's exactly what it was. For me, it was wildly eye-opening how much educational content's being created by program managers that sometimes hadn't been in the classroom. I mean, they're doing great stuff, but I mean, a teacher that's taught for 10 years can give you their bent on how it's going to land, right? And so let's fix
Right.
this.
Yeah.
Let's tinker that.
Yes, absolutely.
That's really cool. Can you talk a little bit about what Learning Blade is before we
Love to.
dive into some of the things you guys are doing?
So elevator pitch, here we go. So Learning Blade
Okay.
is focused on this concept. Students can't be what they can't see. And so many students are interested in STEM topics, but don't truly understand what STEM means in the real world. So, and I would say teachers kind of as well sometimes. So STEM being, it's not just PhD rocket scientists and people working at CERN. STEM are electricians and welders and phlebotomists and X-ray technicians and all the PhDs that you're familiar with. So our goal at Learning Blade is to bring really relevant career exploration to the middle grades while enhancing core academic standards. So I like to say our secret sauce is that when you go and learn about a UI UX designer in Learning Blade, we have a math lesson, a science lesson, a social studies lesson, and an English lesson about that career. So that way we're approaching all the full picture, the interdisciplinary, cross-connecting, the silos, and those lessons are only 10 minutes long. So it allows Ohio teachers or teachers in the other states that we have that have free access a chance to add little chunks, chunking strategy, bell ringers, early finisher, career exploration to their classroom. And I will say that in the last 10 years that we've been doing this, 10 years ago, career exploration in middle school, not a hot topic. Right now, completely on fire, every state. What are we doing in middle school for careers? We need to do more. And Learning Blade is quite honestly a wonderful and awesome solution to that. And then one other thing, the way we approach it with that interdisciplinary lens, we have online lessons, reading, answering, learning, building vocabulary, but we also have projects. So we have hands-on projects, STEM projects, engineering design projects, 3D printing projects, and then as well, coding course and our new AI unit, which I know you guys are excited to talk about.
Yeah,
for sure. And we should also mention, be sure we make this loud and clear for all our Ohio teachers. It is a free resource.
Learningblade.com/OH, or go to the Ohio STEM Learning Network, which is the funder, and just type in Learning Blade and Ohio STEM Learning Network, and you will find access to this in Ohio, thanks to the partnership with the OSLN.
That's great.
Yeah, and looking through this, I really like that there was that cross-curricular connection, because it's easy for some people to look at STEM and say, well, that's for the teacher, that's for the math teacher, that's for the science teacher, and it's not at all. It's more than just subjects. It's a way of looking at everything, and I think that's really impressive that it has those components that are all standards aligned for all those grade level, all those subject areas too. So not only does it include them, but there's those connections to standards.
Absolutely. So, you're reinforcing Ohio's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math standards as you learn about careers or English standards. And just once again, kids can't be what they can't see, and especially when you talk about low-income students. And, I think there's less propensity to seeing STEM careers, and yet STEM are the highest paying jobs that can totally transition and transform a family. And so making sure all students have access to the opportunities in STEM is critical. And the best way to do that is through exposure.
Mm-hmm. So let's expose the AI module, the AI component to Learning Blade that's there now. Obviously, AI has been hot topic for going on about 19 months now, since November of 22. Right. When I like to tell people that for a long time AI was using you, and now you get to use it.
I love that. I love that, man.
And so let's hear about how we're using the introduction modules and how Learning Blade's introducing this.
Yeah, so we recognized through some of our state partners, they were really asking us can Learning Blade do to help us in AI in our states? Because we're statewide, like we can reach every student across the state. And so what we decided, what we landed on as a team, and Learning Blade is a product of eDynamic Learning, right, which is the largest CTE content provider in the country. And so our curriculum development team, Lisa Ron and Lisa Dotson and their team is amazing. And we sat down and we said, well, we don't really want to tell kids to go use AI because that's still fraught with district level decision policy. And we don't understand which school, it's hard to get, we don't want to get involved with that, quite honestly. So instead of telling students to use AI, we want to help students understand what is AI, how, like, what are the different elements within artificial intelligence, how is it being used, like the whole idea that machine learning really started around pictures of cats and teaching machine to identify cats versus other things, and then how that morphed into a stronger machine learning platform and through iterative design. We want kids to understand that. We want them to understand really truly. I call it the black box thinking. We talk about digital natives and kids understanding everything about technology. No, they know how to use it, but they don't know what's built, how it's built, what's inside of it, what are the dangers. And so through our What is AI unit, we're trying to explain what's inside that black box. What is a GPT? What is narrow AI versus general AI? Really, I'm incredibly excited about our AI ethics lessons. We have a lesson on the career of AI ethicist, right? Explaining that the creator of the AI you're using or the team that built it may have had their own bias, and that can come out. And therefore, using multiple sources is still a great idea. And so, we do talk about how AI can be creative for your future, generating creativity with AI, solving problems with AI. But more importantly, as I think Salman Khan, the Khan Academy, talks about AI being leveling the playing field so everyone has their own personal tutor. I like to think of AI in the career space because that's what Learning Blade does. There's going to be those who know how to use it and those who don't. And those who know how to use it best will be those who understand it best. And through that core foundational layer, understanding what is AI, I think you'll be able to apply it better in your future applications in the classroom, in your life. And so that's what the Learning Blade AI unit's designed to do. If I can just add one other quick note, like I've read books on AI. Same with you, Matt, like literally 18 months ago, 19 months ago, I logged into ChatGPT. I started creating my own websites with it. I got excited about it instantaneously, and that faded a little bit. But when I did this unit that this curriculum team at eDynamic created, I was learning all sorts of new stuff. And that's for someone who's been spending time reading about it. So it'd also be awesome for teachers that are like, I just wanted the foundational elements. They're going to learn a lot of that in this as well. So it's really building everybody up.
As I look through this, I thought what you said there at the end, like, this is for anybody. This is not a fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth grade kind of thing. Like, this could be easily used for adult PD for people who are just getting started. I think this is wonderful for that.
Yeah, and I would say, it's the reading level and the types of questions we ask are designed for middle school, but at high school, this would be also, I wouldn't probably go down below fifth grade because of the Lexile scores, right. But I think going into high school for kids that really don't understand AI and for adults, spectacular. I should add that it's only 2 to 3 hours of learning. So we didn't build out a whole semester on AI. Here's 3 hours to give you foundational understanding. And that we're hoping, because it's short, more schools can use it and implement it and learn from it. And rather than seeing the elephant needed to take bites of the whole elephant to get through a course, no, this is just the dessert, but it's foundational dessert.
No, I think that's very, very approachable, being that duration. That's something that they can see and go, yeah, I can do that.
Well, and it's honestly, it sounds like it's a good even jumping off point for, digging deeper, taking it further. I'm curious too, is there an environmental aspect in the content?
So in terms of like how AI is being currently used to like do more intense studies on climate change or on environment, like that sort of environment, like the natural environment, or are you talking about like classroom environment?
Well, I guess I'm thinking about like the like energy use,
The
like
Oh,
impacts
every
of
time you
AI.
run
Ah,
like
yes.
every
yeah,
time you run a chat
that's
GPT or
right.
like the amount of water it
That's
consumes.
right.
I'm just
In,
curious,
interesting.
like,
So yeah, it's I think an AI now that they're using AI in Google searches and others, it's about 10x on the amount of energy per question you ask the thing. I'm sure that'll scale
yeah.
down. We
Yeah.
don't go too deep into the environmental consequence of it in our unit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was just
that's a great
curious because
question.
I'm like, that's another lens like that I find fascinating. Um,
I will say the
you know,
beauty of creating digital online content, and I'm actually taking a note of what you just said, is that we can make it better consistently
mhm,
over time. So we're already talking
yeah.
about like we just launched it August 1st. It's available to Ohio. Go check it out.
Oh, nice.
But
Yeah,
by January we're going to have some tinkering going on, and I think what you just brought up is an awesome tinker to some of the pages of learning.
yeah, yeah, cool. I will be excited to see how it morphs.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are some of the challenges that you see for teachers and students like surrounding this whole just concept of AI in general?
Yeah, big picture challenge. There's a few and I'm not an expert, but I'll tell you what I'm
Mhm,
seeing. Number one, education moves slow and AI is moving fast, right? So that's just over the long run. That's going to be a challenge for schools and school systems that don't adapt, right? Um,
mhm.
I think the bigger challenge is proving its worth right off the gun, how to use it, the implementation strategies. I do think that uh, kids need to learn how to use it. So like we shouldn't be afraid of it. We should be adopting strategies to create improved writing through AI. So like everyone's concerned that everyone's gonna plagiarize and no one's gonna know how to write. Well, why don't you write without technology in class? Give a prompt that's supposed to be iterative design for homework, and then show me your iterative questions you asked to improve your story, and then bring that back. And now I want you to rewrite the intro in class. I mean, there's so many ways to like
Hmm.
implement it, but I think the challenge is getting people comfortable with the fact that it's powerful. I think I've mentioned Salman Khan because I liked his book a lot on the AI revolution. But I think the way he framed it is that we should expect our students' work to improve, right? The same way Grammarly makes or Word spell check made us better spellers, and I have a spelling problem. Everyone knows that in my company. But the spell check made us better spellers. AI should make us just better everything in a sense if we're using it in ways to grow and have growth mindset. But the big challenge is it's going so fast. How are schools and teachers supposed to keep up?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do
Well,
you
and it
guys
is the
think? I'd
yeah,
love
it
to
is
hear
the
your thoughts.
yeah. I mean, it
Yeah.
is the growth mindset, and it's just like any innovation or any change where you've got your early adopters
Mm-hmm.
who they were in it the day it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got your I think there's like five stages to this, and then there's
Yeah.
the laggards. I think that's a Simon Sinek
Yeah.
terminology, where the laggards are just going to say yeah but all they're the yeah but people. And because I've been using these purple dittos all these years, and they still
Yeah. That's right.
they work. Well, they don't work anymore. And
That's right.
so in a respectful way, trying to expose this for the possibilities that it can create, and not the potential problems that they first see it as.
Is there like an ultimate goal, would you say, for you and your team with this module of like what you would want kids to ultimately like kind of understand
Mm.
about artificial intelligence? Is there
Yeah.
like
There.
a eureka?
So I'm not sure it was designed with the eureka moment, but we've already had a few with
Uh-huh.
teachers. So Lauren
Okay.
Duras, who's the state manager in Ohio, and you can reach out to her, Lauren@learningblade.com, if you want some support. But Lauren did a training in person with teachers this week, and one of the teachers said, "I was really scared to use AI in my classroom. I didn't want to. I was resistant." Looked through the AI course. That was what the training was for, to dig into it, to understand it, and it was like, "Oh, right." it, our aha is that careers are already adopting this and will forever in the future use this. That's the aha moment. And therefore, why would you not want to know how to use this so you can get good jobs in the future, STEM jobs and technology, but even probably every career is adopting it in some form. So the aha is, this is my future, and the more I know about what's coming in my future is better. And having that shift mindset for the teacher this week in Ohio was great. So that's the aha teacher moment. I have something I can lean on and start using immediately. And the aha student moment is just that, like, it's not going away. Can't put the genie back in the bottle.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're already exploring all of it.
Yeah.
All of it on their own.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
So-
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, who knows, there's someone compared this to almost like driver's ed, where it's like, we teach kids how to drive formally somehow. I mean, whether it's with a school or not.
Yep.
In the same way, needs to be some instruction on how to drive this. And so,
Matt, that's the metaphor. I want to extend it to actual driverless cars, right? Like, my kids will be driving cars that drive themselves, but when that breaks, you still need to know how to drive the car. Like, there's fundamental skills that, even though AI is part of your life, like, you still want basic core skills to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely love that.
So I know that the AI piece is obviously just came out this month, but are there some other topics you're already thinking about or do you take feedback from teachers to have ideas for new topics that you integrate into Learning Blade? I'd
love to say stay tuned. I'm not allowed to say what's next. I'll say that we have something big coming for Ohio in October. And nice. Yes, we're working on new stuff. It's exciting. Fully in development. We have a deadline. October it'll be out. So just I apologies, but stay tuned. But it does include AI. It talks about how it, certain processes in society require AI, and it's a part of what we're building for our next unit. Sorry.
Very cool.
I can't say more.
Do you have any, of all of the lessons and career ties that Learning Blade has, do you have a favorite?
Oh, I love that question. Thank you so much. So I love our fresh food unit. I've started multiple gardens at school. Kids that grow a tomato and then pull it off a plant themselves are more likely to be lifelong healthy eaters. The research is just stunning. And so I've had multiple teachers use our fresh food unit, which I have in front of me. I'll pull it up, where students learn about agricultural engineers, agronomists, microbiologists, veterinarians, farming equipment, hydroponics. And I grew up driving by a farm every day, and I just thought the only job on a farm was farmer. And so helping kids realize that there's all these cool careers in fresh food and agriculture. Actually, the U.S. Department of Agriculture says that more than a third of all jobs on the farm are STEM jobs. The mechanic, the diesel mechanic, engine mechanics, all those things. Now you've seen the videos probably of like the large robotic, grain harvesters and the weed zappers that are using AI to zap weeds. And so, I mean, I love our fresh food unit because teachers have come back and said, my kids are now so excited about food. I got to go grow some stuff at school. And so that's exciting.
Nice.
But
that's awesome.
We have other missions. We have a food mission. Car manufacturing is such a big thing right now. We have a car manufacturing mission with 8 hours of curriculum for teachers. We've got an energy mission, an entrepreneurship mission. Our computer science mission called Hack Attack really exposes students to careers in CS. We have a construction mission based on the story of an orphanage in Haiti that got knocked down during a earthquake. So we got lots of cool stuff. There's 12 missions, 2 modules, and over 100 careers and technologies for students to learn about.
Wow. That's kind of wild.
Yeah. And Ohio is loving it. Just to be frank, we had hundreds and hundreds of teachers last year go to learningblade.com/Ohio, get their accounts, start using it. And we're canvassing the state. We're out there doing in-person events, and the training's free. So when a teacher goes to that link and says, I want an account, learningblade.com/OH, we immediately email them and said, would you like some training during your planning period? There's no cost. We'll Zoom in just like this, and we'll walk you through your new system and get you started in 1 hour. Teachers are trained and pretty much ready to start implementing supplemental career-focused lessons into what they do.
Do you work with
great.
organizations or schools or so forth to do like workshops, like where people would come and get that type of training besides just, individual?
Absolutely. So the Ohio STEM Learning Network, which is such a cool organization, they have $5,000 classroom grants. They do leadership cohorts, CS cohorts, teacher cohorts, STEM designation. They have so many opportunities at the OSLN. There's STEM hubs across the state. I believe it's 7 STEM hubs. So each of those STEM hubs run STEM events for those regions, and we try to work with them to do professional development for teachers. But honestly, we actually love one-on-one. It's the best because the teacher can do it from their pajamas. They can do it they can do it during their planning period. It's like we try to meet them right where you want to be met, like the easiest way possible.
Nice.
Yeah.
So your vision for what the future of education would look like in 20 years. And I know that's really hard because, in 2004, we would not have imagined that we would be talking about this AI conversation, but just nobody's holding anybody to this, but just curiosity, because of your experience and what you're doing now, I think you have some really valuable insights that would be interesting to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. I don't know that my thoughts are too thought after on this topic, but I'll share them. I'm a huge fan of, like, I believe in constructivism, right? So you learn by doing. And so teaching to the test is not learning, right? In the way that I would, if I were building a school, it would be based on connecting with local industries. I love place-based learning, real-world challenges. So I would think so let me step back. So I believe in depth over breadth, right? And I had the chance to teach a unit from, it was created in Pennsylvania called the Watershed from Radnor Middle School. But what they did for the Watershed unit, and I taught this in Trinidad, which is kind of cool, but what they did for the Watershed unit was the math class was about watershed, the English class was about the watershed, the social studies was the history of this watershed, and so on and so forth. And at the end of the year, what these kids had was deep knowledge about how to care for, protect, think about, analyze, talk about, share, how everything they do in life affects their local watershed. And to me, that you can take a watershed and mimic that in any scenario, whether it's emergency response, whether it's people who don't homeless, whether it's, you don't have enough food deserts. And so that's kind of what Learning Blade does as a supplement for schools. But on the bigger picture, students should be doing authentic local problem solving and actually working with local partners as they get into high school to build models that show, hey, I'm 16 years old and solving real world problems with my neighbors. And now I know I can go and be a part of community. So big picture, Matt, for me, I think education is about building citizens, not the voting citizen. It's the citizen that participates in their neighborhood or in their community to make it a better place. And a textbook and a test does not create citizenship. Projects that matter create citizenship. And so that would be my big goal for schools. And schools are doing that, but not all schools, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's been an awesome conversation. I enjoyed the opportunity to meet you guys.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We hope you found our discussion interesting and insightful. Don't forget to check out the show notes on our website, where you'll find more information about today's guest, resources we mentioned, and information on earning contact hours for listening.
Please subscribe, share it with your network, and check us out at fortheloveofedtech.org. This podcast is produced by SOITA, the Southwestern Ohio Instructional Technology Association, in partnership with Think TV and CET, the local PBS stations in Dayton and Cincinnati. Until next time, keep exploring new ways to empower your students through tech, and we'll catch you in the next episode.